Human culture equates more with better. We build our societies around the pursuit of constant accumulation, assuming that a larger scale will automatically yield a better result. Long before we tracked economic indicators, we personified this drive for dominance. Looking at this classical depiction of supreme authority, we see the mythological root of dominion, a king of the gods holding the world in his hand. In the physical universe, we gave this namesake to a body defined by immense scale and intense gravity. The telescopic view reveals a massive gas giant, churning with storms that could swallow our entire planet. In the esoteric system of astrology, this physical force translates into a psychological archetype. Jupiter acts as the symbolic engine of expansion. We are taught that expansion is inherently positive. Yet in both physics and psychology, growth without a restraining limit leads to destruction. Modern pop astrology often strips this archetype of its danger, reducing Jupiter to a benevolent planet that simply dispenses luck and good fortune. Within the symbolic language, however, this force carries no inherent moral compass. It amplifies whatever it touches, inflating human flaws, egos, and blind spots at the same rate as our virtues. Expansion without a structured container is not true growth. Left unchecked, it rapidly destabilizes. It becomes an explosion. By mapping the specific cycles of this archetype, we identify the windows where personal beliefs and sudden opportunities risk tipping into excess. The system uses Jupiter to measure the volatile, predictable physics of human ambition, mapping the arc of how far we can reach before we break. When this expansive energy flows smoothly, it acts as the primary builder of human culture, generating the philosophies, moral codes, and laws we use to organize our lives. In astrological geometry, constructive growth is mapped through specific, harmonious angles connecting points in the sky. These flowing lines of a trine or sextile represent the human mind successfully taking the chaotic variables of the universe and organizing them into a coherent, functioning worldview. Because the energy meets no friction along these paths, we experience this geometric harmony as sudden opportunity and optimism. Humanity has long sought to codify these overarching beliefs. Scanning this antique celestial map, we can see how chaotic fields of scattered stars were carefully ordered into recognizable cultural narratives. At its most constructive, this archetype serves as the master architect, building our highest ideals and sustaining our societal frameworks. Tension arises when this drive for outward expansion encounters hard resistance. The astrological system visualizes this friction through squares and oppositions, forcing harmonious angles to clash into rigid corners and polarities. This structural tension marks the point of worldview inflation. A previously healthy, supportive belief system balloons under pressure, hardening into dogmatic fundamentalism. This geometric pressure maps the human instinct to take a perfectly good opportunity and push it into unsustainable gluttony. We have tracked these celestial pressure points for centuries. Looking closely at these medieval manuscript creatures, the hand-drawn red stars plot fixed points of tension across the sky to map human behavior. The archetype reveals a critical flaw. It cannot self-regulate. Its singular function is to inflate, remaining blind to the consequences of its own mass. To measure this inflation, the system tracks Jupiter's physical orbit, breaking its 12-year journey into an actionable timeline. As the planet charts a cyclical path across different sectors of the sky, it systematically stress tests our personal philosophies. The cycle begins with a seed phase, where the initial spark of a new belief or ambition takes root in one specific sector of our lives. As the transit progresses and hits a tension point, the belief heavily inflates. This peak phase demands that the structure prove its worth. Advanced astrology moves beyond deterministic fate to track the predictable rhythms of collective growth. This astronomical clock from Prague illustrates the multiple overlapping dials used to follow these rhythms. Every time this 12-year cycle completes, it forces a strict psychological choice: consciously evolve your belief system or watch it collapse under its own inflated weight. No force can expand indefinitely. Eventually, the outward thrust must collide with the firm, immovable boundaries of physical reality. To achieve balance, the system introduces an opposing archetype. Looking at this image of Saturn, the rigid, highly defined rings physically represent the necessary forces of contraction, discipline, and limitation. Astrological wisdom is not found by simply chasing Jupiter's vision or submitting to Saturn's limits, but by navigating the intense pressure between the two. When a person successfully integrates these opposing forces, they stop chasing infinite chaotic space and begin the work of building sustainable, grounded structures. True growth requires severe discipline. A strict boundary is the only mechanism capable of preventing catastrophic inflation. Treating this archetype as a magical charm for wealth or luck misses the point of the system. It is designed as a rigorous map for psychological evolution. Focusing solely on external territory or ideological power misses the deeper mechanics of the expansion cycle. Success depends on the inner capacity to hold deeper, often contradictory truths. An integrated worldview allows us to ride waves of opportunity without being crushed by excess, resolving competing tensions into a coherent geometric mandala. In the symbolic language of astrology, profound inward mastery represents the ultimate stage of growth.